we'll see how each player handles it. They are running the same restricted duo, so kind of just going to be like a big old who hits the other harder. With the supporting pass being different, Calvin with that Lele Tapu Lele Drift Blim combination could be another gravity hypnosis setup, but could just be just standard Will-O-Wisp fair, some other stuff like that. Ditto. Oh, sorry, that's for Foster. So Ditto's side, Ditto has Xerneas to transform into, and could also transform into Groudon. I don't know what item it's carrying, but can carry things like a Choice Scarf or Life Orb, Focus Sash. These are all good items to have on your Ditto, especially when they transform into another Pokemon. And it's kind of like having two items if you are transforming into a boosted Xerneas. But we'll see what kind of items Ditto is, or if it even comes to the game. Ludicolo here, probably not going to see use. There's no Kyogres or anything, so there's no need to bring that. Tapu Fini could be very useful for stopping Psychic Terrain from being up all the time, so allowing Incineroar to kind of cycle that Fake Out. But maybe one of the main issues I see with Foster's team is that there's no Intimidate, so it's going to be hard to kind of negate the damage from Calvin's Groudon here, other than through maybe like Will-O-Wisp on Drifblim. So Kartana probably going to be really important in this matchup. Hits pretty much everything on Calvin's side for good damage. Just needs to be protected well. Make sure it has the speed advantage over Xerneas. And Calvin's going to take the last few seconds here to lock in, and we're ready to go. Round 4 of 5. These players are sitting at 2-1 right now, so either of them can still make cut, and even if one loses, they still have a decent chance of making cut. So we are facing Calvin on the opposing side here. He's going to lead Groudon and Incineroar. So standard lead here, just going to get the Intimidate down and, of course, go for some big damage right off the bat. Lele and Kartana for Foster, so going to set up Psychic Terrain immediately. Make sure there's no Fake Out opportunity from Calvin's Incineroar, but, Calvin's Incineroar is kind of already doing his job. It's getting the Intimidate down on Kartana, threatening Kartana with Flare Blitz in the sun, and, Tapu Lele definitely has no way of knocking it out this turn, barring maybe like Choice Specs, Focus Blast, if that's the set that he's running. Very interesting board position now. Calvin can definitely get off a big attack, but might have to be careful of the potential doubling into the Groudon with both Tapu Lele and Kartana. Tapu Lele's Psychic Surge went up before Drought, so we definitely know that Groudon is not faster than Tapu Lele, and risks getting knocked out by just 2 of those attacks. We see Kartana switch, doesn't want to stay in on that Incineroar, doesn't feel like risking it right now. Drifblim coming in, getting the Psychic Seed proc, gonna have that on Burden, ready to do something next turn, as Incineroar also switching out, so very interesting. Tapu Fini coming in to reset that terrain, making sure psychic damage is back to normal. Pretty good play and switch on Calvin's side. Side Shock going to come in, do some damage to Groudon, but Groudon's physically pretty bulky, so I would say it was still a pretty good shot for what it is unboosted. A critical hit Fire Punch in the sun does quite a bit, but a little less than I would have expected it to. So maybe this Drifblim's packing some defensive investment, or maybe the Groudon is more bulky, less offensive. We'll have to wait and see how this game plays out to see which one it truly is. But yeah, Drifblim's ready to just go to town here. It can't put anything to sleep or burn anything, so if that was the game plan to try and negate Groudon's attack stat, it's not going to happen. So Shy Shock onto Tapu Fini this time, gonna get a good amount of damage, and wow, that was a critical hit. Pretty good damage. Tailwind going up for Foster, making sure he has the speed advantage, as Icy Wind taking away some of that advantage he just gained and doing a little bit of damage on the side. With a critical hit onto the Drifblim, so lots of critical hits today. 3 in the first 2 turns, and Fire Punch from Groudon going to connect with Drifblim, knocking it out, so preventing it from sticking around, kind of doing whatever it wants. And Foster then gets to send out a Pokemon of his choice, kind of take advantage of the Tailwind turns. Would not be surprised to see his own Groudon come in and start using those Precipice Blades. That's very, very threatening at this moment in time. I don't think Calvin has many switch-ins for that. Definitely not going to want to switch into that Incineroar. It's just going to take a lot of damage and then maybe faint even, depending on what kind of Groudon this is. And, even though Tapu Lele is only doing a little bit of damage, that damage is helping a lot. putting a lot of Pokemon within the Precipice Blades range. Calvin's going to think about how to deal with the Tailwind turns here. Groudon really important, but Tapu Fini maybe as important, or possibly not that important. As he goes ahead and switches out Tapu Fini, gonna have to bring in Incineroar, get that Intimidate drop. Really important on Foster's Groudon here. Wants to not be able to knock out some of his Pokemon that way. As Groudon protects itself on Calvin's side, so just gonna make sure it can make the best use of Tailwind turns by stalling them out. Psyshock into Groudon, gonna do nothing, of course. And Precipice Blades coming out, hitting the Incineroar. And let's see how much damage this does. I see the HP bar going down. It's not quite enough to pick up the knockout, so it is still Life Orb, so maybe a little less on the offensive side than some of the other Groudons we've seen today that are Life Orb, as the Berry allows Incineroar to restore most of his health back up, and puts Calvin's Groudon back in a pretty nice position to fire off another Precipice Blades or attack of some sort. And I would say that Fake Out being open here is definitely hurting Foster. He really wanted that terrain to stay up to prevent Groudon from losing Tailwind turns. That is really precious. So, you know, he could definitely protect Groudon and stop that damage from happening and then do it again next turn. But of course, next turn Calvin can just protect with Groudon again, and that's, you know, always an option there. As Fake Out going into Groudon, so Groudon's going to go ahead and just take the damage. Maybe thinking about, I just want to get damage off of both Pokemon or something like that. And Groudon gonna throw out Precipice Blades, gonna miss the Tapu Lele, I believe. So this is just gonna hit Groudon for a little bit of damage here. Really, really bulky Groudon there. That did really not do nearly as much. So I would say Calvin's Groudon, definitely not the offensive type here. Just trying to do consistent damage while living attacks. And you know, that's a pretty good set sometimes. But right now, it's definitely hurting Calvin. I think he's within range of maybe double up here. And that could spell trouble if Groudon is his main way of doing damage. Incineroar, on the other hand, probably wants to switch out, maybe back into Tapu Fini to take the hit. And it's actually going to be Stack Attacka, so really risky switch in, unless there's something about the Stack Attacka that might be able to mitigate that damage from Precipice Blades. Psyshock once again coming in hot, hitting that protect as Precipice Blades comes out. And there's no barrier or anything, so I think Stack Attack is just going to have to eat it and fall. And fall it does, so big stacks come in, big stacks fall down and go back. So it does cause him to lose a bit of HP, and another free switch in for Incineroar. No more Mist, but it's already done its job. No more Psychic Terrain. And there's the Incineroar, knocks Foster's Groudon down to -2 attack. You know, Tapu Lele's been here for quite a while, kind of just doing damage the whole time. So I wouldn't be surprised if just kind of like choice specs, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it is choice specs, but based on the damage, it doesn't seem that way. I would say probably some sort of Focus Sash, maybe Twisted Spoon, any kind of stuff like that. But it's been doing its job pretty well, and I would say Foster might want to keep using it to that extent. Although it is going to get faked out this turn, so maybe not going to stick around that long. As Swords Dance from Calvin's Groudon, so that explains the insane bulk. As Precipice Blade's gonna come out, connect with both Pokemon here. Should be a KO on Incineroar, yes it will be, and you know it's gonna probably put Groudon into berry range and get that berry back. Yep. All right, so he's +2 now. It's definitely faster than Foster's Groudon, which could spell some trouble. But with Calvin only having Tapu Fini left, it looks like Foster can just bring in Kartana and kind of sweep up the mess that has been left behind by this Groudon. So it really depends. It might come down to a couple of reads, depending on whether the Kartana is Sash or not. But yeah, this is still anyone's game, I think. It's just going to come down to a last turn read. Foster can get a couple more points of damage using Psyshock on Tapu Lele, but definitely no opportunity to switch here, otherwise risk getting knocked out by +2 Groudon. Tapu Fini, on the other hand, I think can take one more Psyshock, we'll see here. Could be a damage roll. It is going to be a damage roll, and Tapu Fini is going to go down. So Precious Blade's going to come out, but I think this is pretty much sealed up. Unless Calvin's bulk is really excellently built, Kartana is going to easily come in and clean up that Groudon with Leaf Blade. But we'll see how much bulk Calvin really has in his Groudon. Yeah, because Kartana, if it is Assault Vest, it kind of looks that way to me, then maybe it'll be okay. But I think it's got enough attack on its own, even with no investment, to kind of pick up this KO. Leaf Blade is a strong move, one of the strongest grass moves in the game. And yes, that's going to pick up the KO. First game goes to Foster. It was pretty unfortunate that Tapu Fini had to go down that turn. If it had lived that turn, could have at least forced a 50-50 play on Foster's end. But, you know, that critical hit early in the game kind of really decided that then. So, well-placed Swords Dance, but I'm not sure if it was really what he needed at that point in time. It kind of was able to bring him back into the game, but didn't leave him with enough HP to kind of do what he needed to do. So we're going to move into game 2. Interesting to see that Foster's Tailwind was brought in, but Calvin stalled it out excellently. It was just that Tapu Lele's natural speed made it kind of a threat, dealing some good chip damage across the board the whole game. And, you know, Driplim did its job, set up Tailwind, went down, and let the Pokemon do their thing. So we'll see how Calvin can come back from that stack attack and just switching into E to Precious Blades and Feint. Not quite the greatest use of one of your Pokemon, but maybe it's going to have to be the one for this battle. I might like to see Xerneas come in. Xerneas could be pretty good in this matchup for Calvin, since Stack Attack didn't really do a whole lot for him last game. Now, Foster could also adjust that by bringing his own Xerneas, and that would be something pretty devastating to see if Calvin decides to swap out Stack Attacker for Xerneas, but I assume he did bring the Stack Attacker just to handle Xerneas should it come. Calvin's going to lock in, so taking a quick second to think about what he wants to do, and then Foster also thinking about what he wants to do. Maybe go for a different lead this time. Incineroar using Intimidate, definitely hampering some of the offensive utility of Groudon, but in the end not really mattering too much, as Precious Blade doing the amount of damage it needed to KO Stack Attacker and take off some damage from Groudon. And we see, I think that's Groudon and Tapu Lele for Foster. So changing it up a little bit, just going to start getting the damage out real fast. As Groudon and Incineroar out for Calvin, not changing that much. Just going to put the Intimidate down on the field and make sure that Groudon is already in to start dealing the damage that he needs to do. And of course, as we saw last game, Calvin's Groudon is faster than Foster's Groudon, so any kind of Swords Dance opportunity Calvin gets, he might want to take and then start attacking way more. Of course, you still don't really know what item the Tapu Lele is holding here. I definitely think it is the Focus Sachet, based off how, I guess, unprotected it was playing last game. Kind of just throwing out attacks left and right, not really protecting at all. Still don't actually know if it's any choice item, but I definitely don't think that's choice damage, and it's definitely not choice card. As Ditto hitting the field, gonna transform into Incineroar, so effectively sending in an Incineroar with less HP for Foster. Gonna get that Intimidate, really important. But again, Calvin's Groudon is packing Swords Dance, so we don't really know how effective this might be of a switch. Tapu Fini gonna come in and erase the Psychic Terrain, but actually that seems to be in Foster's favor since he just copied that Incineroar. Now it's his turn to have the Fake Out pressure. And Groudon just going to protect itself, doesn't want to take damage this turn. I would have liked to see Swords Dance there or something similar, as Precious Blade is going to come out for Foster and do a bit of damage to the Tapu Fini. At -1 with Life Orb, should do around half. Yeah, probably around half, a little less. But yeah, good damage for Foster. It puts Tapu Fini in an uncomfortable position should it get faked out, and then maybe be put in the roll range for Precipice Blades later down the time. Ditto with Fake Out already is definitely poised to do it onto Groudon. There's no real reason to Icy Wind right now. I would expect maybe more of like a Swagger or Heal Pulse kind of deal coming out right now. But again, Tapu Fini being faster, or maybe it isn't faster, since we haven't seen how it compares to the Groudon on Foster's side. But I would say maybe going for a Swagger could be a good move to do. But Groudon is going to switch out for Calvin actually, so doesn't want to take the -1, doesn't want to reset it with either Swagger or Swords Dance. Just going to go back into Incineroar, get another drop onto the Ditto and Groudon. As Fake Out does come out, it's going to connect with Tapu Fini, so here's the roll. Does it happen? Well, I guess, okay. Incineroar dodges this Precipice Blades, but it's no longer a roll because of that -2 now, so this is going to do a little bit of damage, pop the berry. So Calvin is looking in a little bit of a better position than he was at the beginning of the game. He's definitely within striking distance of whatever Ditto might want to switch into with that Incineroar. And, you know, once Ditto switches out, it just turns back into Ditto. So Foster will have to play again and place his Ditto right where he wants it to make sure it transforms into the right thing if he decides to switch out right now. As far as Groudon's concerned, missing that Precipice Blades, pretty big. That probably would have done over half to Incineroar and then set it up for a KO this turn. But instead, missed the target. Now Precipice Blades has no chance of KOing Incineroar other than a critical hit. Alright, Ditto is going to switch out. Going to put in that Tapu Lele one more time. Stop Fake Out from happening, though I find it hard to imagine if Calvin actually went for the Fake Out. I think going just for a Flare Blitz in the sun would have been better. As Protect from Groudon, make sure it takes no damage this turn. Doesn't want to eat any Icy Winds or anything like that. As Swagger misses Incineroar, which actually ended up being pretty good, and Knockoff going into Groudon means this turn pretty much dead. Nothing really happened other than Protect going off and Swagger missing. Really not that bad of a miss though, because Misty Train going away means that Swagger would have confused Incineroar and put Calvin in an uncomfortable position where he had to roll for 1 out of 3 or 2 out of 3 chances to not hit yourself. So, you know, missing sometimes is good, but usually it's not. He would have been a +2 attack and been able to do a lot of damage, so who's to say who really won out that turn, whether it was miss good, miss bad. Calvin might want to switch out Incineroar now. Tapu Fini is also not looking that safe, having consumed its berry and being in, so it can't set its terrain up. But switching in anything for Tapu Fini could be bad, as Taunt from Tapu Lele going to stop Tapu Fini from doing any status moves, but it's okay. Icy Wind coming out, gonna slow down the opposing Pokemon here. Do a good amount of damage to Groudon for Icy Wind anyway, as it also breaks that Sash if Tapu Lele is handing it, and I'm pretty convinced it is since it has Taunt and Psyshock, and no kind of boosting it. Precipice Blades gonna connect, do a lot of damage to Incineroar. That's the Life Orb damage coming in, as U-turn going to come out for Calvin, hit that Tapu Lele. Pretty interesting. I would have preferred to be hit the Groudon for some extra damage, but you know, having a Life Orb, definitely no way for this Groudon to recover its health. So once that damage is done, the damage is done. So Groudon's going to come in full health, -2 Groudon on Foster's side, -1 speed Lele also. It's looking fairly unfortunate for Foster now. He would love to switch in an Incineroar for that Tapu Lele, but Ditto is not Incineroar, alas, and it will transform into Tapu Fini if it chooses to switch. And that's not good for 2 reasons. You have to reset your terrain, so you put up Misty Terrain, and Tapu Fini itself has no real offensive support option. It's got a lot of partner support option, which is great, but the Pokemon itself is not doing a whole lot. Icy Wind is good, I guess. Yeah. Imposter is going to go ahead and take that Tapu Fini, so maybe Foster just wants to offer that support to his own Groudon. Definitely needs to get some boosts up in order to come back to his full strength, as Fini out for Calvin. Very interesting. Maybe Foster was trying to switch out after Calvin did to get an Incineroar, but now It's Incineroar Groudon versus Tapu Fini Groudon. And Groudon on Foster's side, really low attack now. Protect gonna come through and prop here. Stop itself from taking damage. As Presses Blades comes out, really would have liked to see a Swords Dance, but yeah, I really would like to see a Swords Dance there as it missed again. So lots of misses here. I think I've seen more Presses Blade misses today than I have in like a long time, since 2016, obviously. And even more so than like Origin Pulse, which I think only a couple people were using today, but even that didn't miss as much. Keeping in mind we also saw that Swagger miss, so really not a very high hitting game here. Got that 15%. Incineroar has a fake out option available, but you know, if you fake out the Groudon, you open yourself up to getting Icy Wind or allowing the Tapu Fini a Heal Pulse if it has Heal Pulse. So I'm gonna go ahead and fake out Ditto. It's gonna be the red card Ditto, so here for Xerneas, and instead getting out Incineroar, and that was actually really bad for Foster because now his own Groudon, probably going for that Presses Blade, trying to pick up the knockout on Incineroar, is actually going to hit Tapu Fini, and that Pokemon is very bulky on the physical side, so I don't think he'll even pick it up. No, not even close, so, well, close, but close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades, as they say. Either way, Tapu Fini still being around means that Calvin can actually use this Tapu Fini to get up another Swagger boost, potentially, onto Groudon, although that's very risky considering that Tapu Lele is in the back. I think a better play for Calvin would just be to Icy Wind here and hope that he catches a Tapu Lele switch in should Foster decide to switch out and go for just Presses Blades with Groudon. And Groudon on Calvin's side, very healthy, so I expect him to do a lot of the work here, and we still have Incineroar in the back too, just in case Kartana ever decides to come back in, and a fourth Pokemon for Calvin still unrevealed, as well as for Foster. So, having known that, I think Foster's back is definitely going to be that Kartana. I don't suspect it could be anything else. He might have timed out there. It'll be interesting to see what he chose to do. Ditto is going to go ahead and switch. This is going to be that Tapu Lele again, so like I said, just try to Icy Wind on the switch and hope you catch Tapu Lele so your Groudon can outspeed it next turn. Of course, Groudon on Foster's side going to protect, doesn't want to get KO'd, though maybe he wanted that to be a KO here. A Swagger going into Groudon, so here's that risk I'm talking about. It's going to be +4 attack Groudon, but it's confused, so you know how I love my confusion. Let's see some chaos. No confusion hit. Presses Blades going to go off. Really strong Presses Blades. I don't think any kind of Pokemon can take this one neutral, so say goodbye to Tapu Lele here, and that allows Foster a switch into some other Pokemon, potentially that Kartana, like we said, but potentially the Ditto again, but I wouldn't say not the Ditto, probably. It is going to be that Kartana, so Kartana's going to come in, and you know, Calvin does have Incineroar in the back, so I think this might be game, barring any Leaf Blade crit. Of course, be really careful here, because if Calvin decides to stay in with Tapu Fini and go for Icy Wind instead, that could really change the game up and just like completely end this set. So Calvin's just got to play a little bit on the safe side here, maybe just let Tapu Fini go down if it goes down and get Incineroar in next turn. No, he's just going to go for the Incineroar switch in now. Oh, it's actually going to be Xerneas, so changing it up from last time, decides to bring the Xerneas instead of the Stack. Groudon also going to switch out, doesn't want to stay confused. Good choice. Incineroar going to come in. And, you know, Incineroar known for what it's doing best, which is spooking Kartana and giving that Groudon to a nasty -4. Finally switching out, finally getting rid of those attack drops. Here's Ditto, going to switch in on Incineroar and get that attack drop back. So far the Ditto has been doing some pretty decent work. I think switching in onto Fini was probably a mistake on Foster's end. I think he wanted to switch out after the Tapu Fini to copy the Incineroar. Leaf Blade not enough to KO Incineroar here. Gonna just pop the berry, and you know, that's unfortunate since Fake Out's not on the table, and I'm not sure what kind of set Calvin's running on his Incineroar. We've seen U-turn, we've seen Fake Out, we've seen Knockoff, so I don't think it's got Roar. And Foster's going to have to put Ditto back in the back if he wants to transform into that Xerneas later in the game. I mean, Kartana is still looking pretty good here, though. don't get me wrong. It's just hard to switch that out right now, and if it is Assault Vest, can't protect, which is definitely an issue. Alright, so let's see what Foster decides to do this turn. It's going down. It's looking pretty sketchy. Knock off coming in. Gonna smack off that Power Herb. No Geomancy for you. It is going to lock itself into the Geomancy for the next turn. And, you know, that is going to go off, I think, unless Foster can stop it, really, which doesn't seem to be that doable. Although Calvin knocking out Kartana does mean Foster can get his own Groudon back in, as U-turn from Ditto into Xerneas is going to put Groudon back in. Now, excuse me, the issue here is that Ditto is going to copy a non-boosted Xern because of the knockoff. If instead Foster decided to go for maybe a Smart Strike there, didn't knock off the Power Herb, let Geomancy go up, then Ditto can come back in, copy the boost, and then you got yourself a Xerneas versus Xerneas mirror match. And now instead you've got this Groudon. It is at full health, full power, so assuming it hits its moves, this Xerneas could be going down this turn, and that would be pretty unfortunate for Calvin, as he kind of needs it to do some more damage. And Xerneas here, probably the fastest Pokemon on the field. I'm not sure if it's faster than Calvin's Groudon, but we're going to go ahead and assume it is. Of course, Foster could opt to go for his own Geomancy. That seems pretty greedy to me, but it's an option if you want to lose. Or stunt. I guess you could stunt. You're up one game, so I mean... I would say Calvin probably wants to switch out Incineroar this turn, but it's hard to say because you're losing whatever comes in. Tapu Fini not really doing anything, so maybe I would throw that in instead of Incineroar. Yep. So Incineroar going to go out. Here's Tapu Fini. Going to reset the terrain and also drop to whatever is happening this turn, I think. As Geomancy. Okay, he's going to go and trade Geomancies. That's very interesting. I don't think I agree with that play, but they're going to go ahead and do it. Alright, Calvin's Geomancy fires off. Looks like it was faster than Groudon to begin with. We'll see what Groudon on Foster's side does. It's going to be a big boy Precipice Blades, and it's going to connect on both Pokemon this time, so no misses here. It's going to KO Tapu Fini, and now I think it's going to come down to Speed Ties, our favorite. So there are a couple of options here for Foster. Well, actually, no, he's locked into Geomancy now, isn't he? So actually, this is I think this is over. So Calvin's just going to come in Incineroar. Fake Out's going to stop Geomancy from going off, and I'm pretty sure Dazzling Gleam just picks up the rest of the game. So I definitely don't think Geomancying there was the play for Foster. Maybe he thought it was a real Xerneas and it had a Power Herb, but you know, that's Ditto, and it's got a red card. So I don't know. He might have to chalk that one up to brain farts or something. Alright, let's see that Geomancy go off. Oh, actually it won't go off. I think it's just going to get faked out. So here's Fake Out. Pop. No Geomancy. Moonblast into the Groudon slot, so goodbye there. No Dazzling Gleam, so not revealing that knowledge if he has it. And, you know, the flinch stopping Geomancy from going off. So I think Foster's going to have to reassess how he handles the Ditto, especially in picking and choosing what moves he locks into on that one. And knowing that Tapu Fini is actually slower than -1 speed Tapu Lele is some pretty good information moving forward as well. So you'll have to think about that going forward too. And we're probably going to go to a game 3, unless I see a forfeit from Calvin. Alright, so Moonblast again. Going to come out and finish the deal. Alright, so down to 1-1. No Drifblim from Foster that time, so we can see the Ditto adjustment would have been okay if maybe he just attacked into the Xerneas on Speed Tie. Instead, going for the Geomancy makes it so that, you know, you have to wait a turn because you're not your own Xerneas, you don't have Power Herb, and you know that makes you vulnerable the next turn. So the drawback of all these 2-turn charge moves is you have to use them, you have to execute them or be interrupted. So these kinds of moves usually you want to have slow or quickened cooldown. That's why things like Power Herb, Sun with Solar Beam, and some other moves like that, Power Herb, Sky Attack, that kind of thing. Alright, so we'll see how Foster adjusts to take the game back. I liked Calvin's adjustment a lot, got Xerneas in, got Geomancy, even though it got stopped by knockoff Kartana, he kind of made up for it in the end game because he got the boost after Foster got in with his Ditto. So yeah, if Ditto had come in on already boosted Xerneas, that might have been a bit different. Might have just been out of speed ties there. And, you know, that's just the way the game rolls sometimes. You just gotta throw down your 50-50 cards and play the game. Alright? Both players taking their time a little more here to think about what they want to do in Game 3. And Tapu Lele with a taunt might be really useful for this game going forward, as Calvin knows, although maybe he kind of assumed that Tapu Lele would have taunt and went for Icy Wind instead there. So really nice of him to do that, but could have stopped some sort of setup on Calvin's side if it happens. So we'll see what happens here. Tapu Lele might be faster than Xerneas as well, so it can taunt to stop the Geomancy. Getting into it, round 4. Alright, so we're going to lead off with Groudon Ditto, so leaving it up to luck. What is Calvin leading in the second slot? It's going to be a Groudon, so this is going to be pretty interesting. Groudon's Drought going to come out from Calvin's Groudon, not surprising. And then Intimidate going off first, so this is really important. So Ditto here going to move last with that Imposter, and now Foster's got 2 Groudons on the field, one of which is at neutral attack. Now, of course, we did see Calvin's Groudon is on the weaker end offensively, so this could be pretty dicey for Calvin, since you've got 2 big dinosaurs ready to make some blades, throw down the earth. You can only fake out one of them, so you better pick wisely which one you fake out. If it were me, I'd probably fake out the Life Orb one. Because even though it is -1 attack, I think it's still putting out more damage than the non-Life Orb one, for sure. Of course, if you do decide to fake out Ditto Groudon, you can use that red card to your advantage and switch out immediately. And actually, it is going to go into the Ditto Groudon, and the red card is going to force Calvin to go out with the Incineroar, which is still in his favor. Still in his favor as Xerneas comes out. And you know, Xerneas is not going to appreciate one of those Precipice Blades coming out, but at the same time, it's not getting knocked out regardless, so I think it's happy to take this trade. Swords Dance from Calvin, going to start setting up here on that fake out turn. And Precipice Blades coming out, going to target both Mons. Not going to miss this time, as good damage, but less than 50% on both, and that is not great for Foster. He's in a pretty sketchy situation. I think Ditto's going to have to go out here and probably put in something like either Tapu Lele or Drifblim maybe. But Drifblim with no train, that's a sad Drifblim. So I would say he's probably going to have to go into the Lele, or maybe have to do Precipice Blades and hope for the best. It is going to go ahead and stay in, so Geomancy going to come off here, and Calvin's own Groudon is going to throw out his Precipice Blades, which might be enough for the KO on Ditto, not known to be the bulkiest Pokemon, and HP does not carry over, so it's just going to come down to whether these hit the right targets here. Alright, Precipice Blades coming out, connecting with both Pokemon. Can Foster survive this onslaught? Yes, he can. So Ditto's going to fire off its own Precipice Blades one more time before it goes down later. Gonna put Xerneas at a very, very low health Rock Slide coming out, very interesting move. I think that might be a misclick, since there really isn't any reason to be clicking Rock Slide. I don't see anything on Calvin's side being weak to that, so I'm definitely going to have to assume that's a misclick there. Press's Blades definitely would have maybe threatened the roll on Xerneas, but now Xerneas is all the way up, and Dazzling Gleam or Moonblast could definitely drop some Pokemon, just depending, even switch-ins. So, and Groudon, yeah, Groudon also set up to just do damage, so this is going to be tough. Drill's going to come back, probably want to come back in on that Xerneas. This is going to be Foster's own Xerneas. We're going to see whether it can take on this Onslaught, but I have a hunch it's going to be a no for me, dog. That's Dazzling Gleam, and it's +2 fat damage. Thanks for the follow, if you're watching the stream. And Fire Punch, making sure it doesn't miss, so good call on Calvin's end there to use Fire Punch. Picking up the double KO, that's both of Foster's restricted Pokemon. Oh, but I lied. He's going to get one more restricted Pokemon when he brings Ditto back in. Alright, and Ditto is going to come in for the left slot as Kartana comes in for the right slot. Very important, if you were paying attention around the beginning of the set, I said Ditto copies the opposing facing Pokemon, and it's going to transform into that Xerneas. So this is going to come down to some really important speed ties, I think. This speed tie pretty much decides the game. Does Ditto move first, or does Calvin's Xerneas move first? These are important questions. Of course, even if Ditto loses the speed tie, Kartana might be enough to bring it back in. And, you know, this is the kind of thing that Pokemon comes down to. And managing how you play your Pokemon and where they come in, where they go out, this is what players think about on the next level. And right now, it's kind of applying pressure to both sides here. Do I protect? Do I switch? And Incineroar could come in here and be really nice, as Groudon going to go ahead and switch into Incineroar. So this could be a really good switch, but Foster might also account for it and go for a Sacred Sword with his Kartana here. And that would be a lot of damage that maybe Calvin can't take. Xerneas is going to protect itself, not yet willing to risk that speed tie. As opposing Xerneas going for that Moonblast. No! It's going to hit into that Protect, as Sacred Sword does come out and connect with the Incineroar. So maybe looking to pick up a Beast Boost potentially with killing Groudon there. But, you know, Fake Out is on the board again, and, you know, that kind of negates the fact that a speed tie is necessary. At the same time, Ditto could just protect itself this turn and avoid the speed tie again. But it looks like Foster's ready to commit to that speed tie like his life depended on it, which it kind of does, so I don't blame him at all. Now, I think this Kartana can't protect itself here. It looks a little bit bulkier than most Kartana, and I haven't seen it protect all game, so I would assume can't protect at all, and that might be an issue. Fake Out going into the Xerneas, so that's going to be a Moonblast into the Kartana, so not Dazzling Gleam, just going to be Moonblast. It's going to do quite a bit of damage, but yeah, that's definitely looking to be the Assault Vest variant, and you know, not killing Ditto with that Fake Out is going to be really important here in the coming turns. What is Calvin's last Pokemon? This is the question we all need to know the answer to, because if it's Sakataka, it's still not over. But if it's anything else, literally anything else, I think he's in trouble. It's going to be Tapu Fini, so this is going to be really, really close. It might be able to live the +2 Moonblast. It depends on how well Calvin traded his Xerneas and whether he calced his Fini to live his own Xerneas. So, pretty interesting position here. And Icy Wind is going to help out, maybe. It's a big maybe on that one. Incineroar might want to switch out here, but I mean, I think this is kind of over since Kartana can just Leaf Blade here and knock out Fini, and Incineroar will definitely go down to Moonblast. So Calvin, for what looked like a really good position to kind of win the game by clicking Dazzling Gleam, went for the Moonblast instead, sealing the deal kind of, I think. there aren't many switch-ins left for Calvin, and there aren't many outs either. Foster would have to make a pretty major misplay in order to give this one up. Tapu Fini gonna come back out. Here is Groudon. And I'm not really sure about this one. I don't think Tapu Fini has Protect for sure, so this is just gonna be... Oh, Ditto is going to protect itself. Very interesting. So we see the Protect from Ditto. We see the Leaf Blade from Kartana. Pick up the KO on Groudon. This game has taken me on a roller coaster ride and a half. So Groudon's gonna go down. Kartana's going to pick up another Beast Boost, going to put itself up at +2. We're going to see what Incineroar does. Flare Blitz into Kartana, so that's the knockout. And now it's Foster's Ditto versus Tapu Fini and Groudon. I'm not sure if it can pick up both, and I definitely think that should have been an attacking move right there. So with full health Tapu Fini, this is really weird. This might come down to an Icy Wind miss. As crazy as that sounds. It might not even KO, so we'll find out here. Dazzling Gleam come out. Knockout Incineroar for sure. Does quite a bit on Tapu Fini. Double critical hit, so... Wow. Wow. Icy Wind is going to connect. Is it enough to pick up the knockout on Ditto? 6 HP. And it does it. So, really close game. That end game was like nothing I've ever seen before. Wow. So, Calvin's going to take that 1-0. Game 3 over Foster. Well played from both ends. I think they played fantastically. Very masterful use of Ditto. Not so sure about the use of Red Card, but it almost worked out anyway. So, I mean, keep doing what you're doing, guys. I hope to see both of these players in cut. I would love to see their teams again. And we'll see you back here with round 5.